This video is after our awful loss in the Carabao Cup against League Two side Grimsby Town, probably the worst loss of our history. I initially wanted to make a video to give my reaction on the United fan base after their reaction to the Fulham game and their calling for Ruben sacking just after 2 Premier League games. I thought that was completely baffling. Last year, I gave Ruben a pass just because I think he inherited a squad that really wasn't his, and he had players that needed to learn his style of play as he plays quite a unique formation that the players just aren't used to. And even after the very first game of the season, he came in and said that he'd rather have the players learn the system now, suffer through it, but suffering now will kind of set us up to play the way he wants us to play next year and succeed in it. And so I knew last season would definitely be tough, and I mean, results spoke for itself. We were quite hard to watch, finishing 15th in the league. Just awful season, but I said scrap it. I kind of knew that's what was going to be expected. And even though with today's results, just completely awful result, I really hope United still stick with Amorim and back him until the end of the season. I think he's already changed the culture as players have come out on interviews through the preseason saying that the team, it just feels like the team has a family feel to it now. But I think players, more than the manager, I think players need to take accountability. I mean, there's so much a manager can do. Changing tactics, changing his style of play, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, players got to be accountable. I mean, let's start with Cunha. I think Cunha, he's been a bright spark. I think we've already seen, like, how vastly different our attack has been, like, a lot more exciting just after the first 2 Prem games. Solely due to Cunha just making these type of runs we haven't seen in so long. But ultimately, he hasn't put away his chances. I mean, he's had a lot of big chances missed. Versus Fulham, could have had 2 goals himself. Bruno missed a PK, so we could have been 3-0 up at halftime, and that would have completely changed the narrative of the game. The goalkeepers, I mean, the less I talk about them, the better. First game versus Arsenal, Bayender, that not being able to claim a cross. The second game versus Fulham looked shaky throughout all their corners. Just looking very timid. And then that brother Onana, I mean, I would say kind of cost us the game today, failing to claim the cross. I mean, this was a player who everyone was screaming to replace De Gea for, saying, "Oh, he'll completely change United with being able to play with his feet." I mean, Bayender's ball playing ability looks better than his. I mean, I can't really disagree with Matic when he said Onana is probably one of the worst keepers in our history. His ball playing ability is not even that great. In the penalty shootout, I mean, yeah, that kind of comes down to luck, but he got his hand to it on, I think, 5 of the shots, and couldn't keep it away. He dove way too early in a few of them. Like, it's just childish behavior by both keepers. And you can't expect to win games when you have goalkeepers you just can't rely on and who are just always constantly vulnerable to mistakes. Like, it's just hard to win games when you can't rely on a goalkeeper. It's like with Bayender and Onana, it's like just picking trash from trash. Like, just which one is less trashier, I guess. And then Ugarte, he's shown he's just not able to play in this level. England is just, it's probably one of the Premier League is just one of the hardest leagues to play, and Ugarte's just shown time and time again he's just not ready and cut out for it. Always looks so afraid to get the ball, looks to just get rid of it right away, so his ball playing ability is not great. Even he's renowned for his defensive capabilities, but even at that, he's not, I wouldn't say he's the best at that. And so I think players, they got to really take accountability too. But I'll say Ruben Amorim still has to take a little bit of blame. I think one thing is, after seeing the horrendous cameo by Ugarte against Arsenal and still deciding to bring him on versus Fulham over Kavi Mainu. Kavi's shown his capabilities and potential. And leaving him on the bench when you're chasing the game, I think is kind of wrong. I understand you might want to develop him further, or things might be happening behind the scenes, but he's a youngster, but a youngster who's proven. We saw his breakout year and how he played such a big role in the England side, taking them to the Euro finals. And then also not saying completely throwing like your methods and style of play out the window like Ten Hag did, but learning how to be more adaptable, making small tweaks, like an in-game management. I think he's got to learn that, which I feel like he eventually will learn. Just learning that the transition from the Portuguese league to the Premier League is completely different. Just a different magnitude. But going back to United fan base, I think the United fan base that were calling for his head just after 2 Premier League games are complete clowns. It's just overreactionary, I think. You can't keep chopping and changing managers just because things don't work out the right way. I think we've just been spoiled by Sir Alex Ferguson for so long, and don't know what a rebuild truly is. I think we've got to accept the fact that in the past few years now, that we are like a mid-table club, and we are now starting a rebuild, and a rebuild takes time. It doesn't take just a few games or just a season or two. It can take multiple seasons. We saw that with Klopp. Even though Arteta hasn't really won anything, we've seen how dominant Arsenal has become. And in the words of Alex Ferguson, if you can't support us when we lose, then don't support us when we win.